He doesn't care where you come from, who you are. And so, Councilor, this is Blaze Radio 90.7 FM. This is our own establishment. And I can say this is your radio station. So you just arrived. What's your impression?
I am so, well, impressed, not surprised, because I know who you are.
Absolutely.
That you seek for perfection, you put your all in when you do
Yes,
anything. When you were a
yes.
print journalist, I know what you did with the public agenda. And
Yes.
so you left us something.
Yes,
You said,
yes.
my friend, my mentor. You left us the fact that I used to free you from jail. That I used to represent you.
Now I say you represent everyone, irrespective of who you are.
Yeah. I call myself a lone peacekeeper. You gotta keep the peace
Yes.
by creating awareness, by getting people from hand wave in terms of repressive actions by
So
government.
why you do that in the first place?
I
You
love-
could just live by yourself,
I
enjoy yourself,
strongly
and
believe that in order for you to enjoy peace, you have to make sure there's peace for everyone.
so you work for the peace.
I work for peace. I work for
But
unity.
Councilor, some people don't even appreciate what you do. People, you free people from jail, but they don't seem to appreciate why you keep doing it.
No, because I'm controlled by two C's:
Okay.
my conscience and my country.
Oh.
Those are the things And every time I ride a taxi, I ask, "Are you Tutsi or Hutu?" They say, I'm a Rwandi. I said, "What do you mean you?" But he said, "Look, I speak Kinyarwanda. All of us in Rwanda here speak one language called Kinyarwanda. And I don't care about being, all I can tell you is I am from Rwanda, I'm a citizen of Rwanda." And that is something that Paul Kagame has taught.
Yeah, I think he succeeded in
he-
really
all over.
neutralizing that trouble, this
And one of the
integration.
And the way he did it, one of the things that he used to really do it is rule of law. The law in Rwanda applies to everyone without exception.
He speaks your language then. You,
So-
you
so-
like the rule of law, and that's one of the things we're going to be
that is
discussing.
It's the common denominator. Otherwise, if law is not taken seriously, then the rule of jungle, the strongest survive. And the weak has no right.
You have been very critical recently, and that's multiple times, but starting with the removal of a speaker, the Supreme Court decisions, you have been speaking out and talking about the flouting of the laws, the Supreme Court opinions. I mean, how much is this that you think the people are listening to you, or it's just the government that is being headed?
First, when I do that, I feel satisfied that I perform my duty
That you
as a
did what you were
citizen.
supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I don't do it for people to vote. I don't do it for a award. I do it because it's the right thing to do. And over time, people will change. Every human being has conscience. I know when I speak about these things and write about them, that those who it concerns do get, they somehow they change gradually.
Right.
I don't want to take credit for the change that they go through. I just want them to do the right thing. For example, you talk about the majority minority in the legislature when that matter went to court. And I read history a lot. I'm guided by history. When way back in 1871, when the legislature did not have enough votes to remove Ijiro, some people just met in Monrovia and they issued a manifesto and said, "We, the senior citizens of Liberia, including some legislators, have decided," and they name a lot of things that they felt President Ijiro had done, and say, "And we hereby depose him," which was a coup d'etat.
Liberia had done that too?
Yeah, they said we hereby depose him. Why they did it? They did not have enough votes in the House and in the Senate to impeach him.
And they wanted to impeach him at all
And then
costs.
he was a lawyer. He's the only president. He was the only president in Liberian history who headed 3 branches of government at different times. He was speaker, then he became chief justice, then he became president, so a lawyer. And so he said, "Oh, but your action is illegal. I'm not leaving from here." They said, "Oh, that what you say?" They formed a militia, and they fought in the street of Monrovia. He formed his own militia, and their militia overpowered him. And they grabbed him and put him in jail and charged him with treason.
E.J. Raw.
Yes, for 2 reasons. He should have had election in 1871. He didn't have election because he said the referendum in 1870 extended
the tenure.
from 2 years to 4 years. When he knew, again, nothing is new in Liberia in terms of violation of law
Right.
and selfishness and greed for power. Just to get be corrupt, get things from true government for yourself. He knew as a lawyer that even if the referendum in 1870 had passed, it would only benefit the next elected president, but not the incumbent.
Exactly.
But he said no, that 2 years presidency, since the referendum is for 4 years, and then the legislature came out later and said, "But our record showed that the referendum did not pass, but even if it passed, you will not benefit."
You not be the beneficiary of that
He said,
referendum.
"I'm not holding election. Oh, I know I'm state president for 2 more years."
I see.
And so that's violation of the Constitution.
Right.
And
It's hijacking.
took somebody to loan and spend some of the money. You say when he came back, they said, "But how much I want for 500,000, but I spent about $200,000 to buy a goose and put it on the ship and bring it. Now, 100,000 pounds sterling, say, bought some, you know. So then, 300,000 pounds sterling. You say he bought about 60,000 or whatever pounds sterling. Goose and put them. But first, in that loan agreement has to be approved by the
Right.
legislature.
They got to be
That is
ratified.
all.
Yeah.
2, the money has to be budgeted before.
And now you already spend it without being
before
budgeted.
so your action is illegal. You respect the legislature, and then so you spending money saying fine that corruption you stealing from the people of Liberia. And
I see the basis
so
of-
those two issues was the purpose of moving against him. And finally, when they removed him from power, they charged him with treason. You know, when they charged him with treason, and then they overpowered him in the night, he tried to not break jail, as Doris Banks Henry said. He told, again, corruption. I believe he may have bribed the
jailers.
The jailer.
Yeah.
He told the jailer, he negotiated with the jailer, and they let him go out. He didn't break jail. While he was going, he was seized by those who had removed him from power, and they dragged him on his back until his skin moved from his back. They put him in jail. He bled to death.
Wow.
That's how we.
So violence have
Oh,
been
no, no,
in our
we-
Liberian
it
political
was a
setting
violent
for a
removal
long
of our
time.
president in 1871.
That was a
Joe was not
bad
the
event.
first
Yeah.
to get a president killed.
Yes.
So again, so I'm referring to it because in the Kofa case, those who wanted to remove Kofa did
Right.
not have the votes.
No, they didn't.
They did not have the required vote. So they said, but we can't be under the man. The man now is speaker, right? So it's like what happened in 1871. They don't have the vote, so they do
So they reverted to the citizens
Yeah.
to help them to do their job.
Exactly. So if you know it, you don't get excited because it's not new, but you try to correct it. And that's what I usually try to do. And since I'm a lawyer now, then I bring the legal,
Right,
you know,
right.
the history and the law behind it and say, but this is illegal. You know, what is wrong, the law is the law. What was
Correct.
wrong yesterday is wrong today. You know,
That's-
and then they extended the president of Liberia today
To 6
is
years.
removing people from tenure position.
Yes.
Tenure position has criteria for removal, and it does not give the president of Liberia power to remove at will. You know, to just remove you because you don't serve he's not pleased with you. No, there has to be a reason.
And Councillor, what even is surprising, the tenure positions, most of them were, the law was signed in President Salif time when the current president or vice president.
True. And
So,
president of the
President of the Senate.
Yeah.
So you sign a law, you oversee a law, and you deliberately break the law. So it's like, you know, do what I say, don't do what I do. It's. But I brought you here specifically for two major issues. But one of the issue is when you said drugs, this drug situation in Liberia is a sin. But we'll come there.
Yeah.
That will be the second issue. But I want you to speak to this very, very legally sticky issue of jury tampering concerning Samuel Twe and others. I think you heard the report.
Okay, so I will come to that again. Nothing new in history, right?
Yes.
In 1871, after the remove
The Ejero.
Ejiro, there was one Anderson that he took on a trip from the legislature. I think he was speaker or a member of the legislature from the House. He went to London with President Roy and came back. So they charged him with embezzlement or corruption. That he stole the money. You and Ross stole the money. He's dead now, but we'll try you. So he was tried, and the jury acquitted him. When the jury acquitted him, right on the stairs of the court,
Yes, the
Where-
Temple of Justice.
it was not the Temple of Justice.
Oh.
It was It was where you have the museum, right?
Oh, the Centennial
Yeah,
Executive.
that whole
Yeah.
area was the legislature, the court,
Ah.
all of them were right over there, right? So, walking outside the court, somebody shot him dead.
Oh.
Not believing, say the jury,
Jury lie.
they shot him dead. So this idea of suspicion over jury is not new.
I mean, well, why do we have a system set up and we don't want to respect the system?
Now, what has happened, this particular one is so bad because the jury decided several days later, and then
Disbanded the jury.
from the criminal law, I know. The verdict, the one
The criminal
I know,
law, I know.
the one I know, because I teach it. Guilty verdict can be set aside.
Okay.
Private law call for the defendant to ask for new trial.
New trials based on
The
new facts.
That right is only given to the
Defend-
defendant. It's not given to the state. All right. So, motion for an arrest of judgment, motion to withdraw your verdict of guilty, motion for new trial. All those things are provided for under the criminal procedure law of Liberia, right? Then the Constitution, Article 21H, is very clear. Nobody should be tried twice for the same offense in Liberia. Nobody should be punished twice for the same offense in Liberia. And not guilty verdict is absolute. It's untouchable.
That plenty thing you're saying right now.
Yes.
First, the Constitution say you try the man for the first time, don't try him for the second time for the same reason.
Exactly.
Then, guilty or not guilty verdict
It's
are absolute.
Yeah.
Absolute means
You can't
you
touch
can't
it.
touch it.
If you say, for example, you bribe the jury, right? If you prove jury tampering, what the law provides is that if in the jury tampering you show that he bribed, right?
Yeah,
You can prosecute him
for the
for
bribery,
bribery.
but not for the
You
same
cannot
crime.
try him again for the crime that the jury acquitted him for. That's the law.
So in this case,
That's the law.
so for the order, for the people come up with, and I like the way you can do your thing. You can speak the simple English.
Yeah.
If Samuel Twer was accused of bribing, the
And
best.
I don't want to call his name.
Yeah, no.
I just
Why?
want to remain general.
Yeah. But I'm calling the name. I'm calling the name. I just want to be specific so the people can understand. If Samuel Twer was going to bribe the jury, the best the judge could have done, or the prosecution could have done, was to try him for bribery,
Exactly.
and not to rex or to annul or to declare the trial misfit. Because the judge said the misfit.
Because the matter is sub judice, I won't call him. But all I know is that I can say if
Anybody,
if
yeah.
A is tried for an offense, Yakpaulo, or Nangwe is tried for an offense.
Or Gibson.
Now, let me now call Yakpaulo before the guy think that my Yakpaulo EP. Let's
Or
say
Gibson.
Gibson is tried for theft. He
Yes.
stole somebody's goat.
Yes.
And then they say that jury trial. The jury say Gibson is not guilty. 1 day, 2 days, and then the judge disbands the jury. 1 day, 2 days later on, 1 or 2 jurors say, that thing there will get some money on it, blah, blah, blah. They investigate and find out that true. They ate some money. They will be punished
For taking bribe.
for jury tampering, for whatever, maybe bribe or whatever influence them. But the defendant, the person who was tried, Gibson who was tried,
Yes.
will not be tried again for that same offense, unless a different offense. That exception is not in our criminal procedure law. The only time jury can come back Because the jury, you cannot appear before jury twice, right? By law. The only time the jury can come back when the trial is on, right? And then maybe the judge died. They call it manifest necessity. Or there are 12 jurors, maybe 3 or 4 that got sick.
Yes.
And then
the alternate were used, and the alternate are all.
Yeah, the trial could not end. That manifest necessity. The trial is on, then there's the building start burning or something happens.
And you have to disband.
They disband the jury. You can't, when they bring new jury, you can't say no, double jeopardy. No, they call it manifest necessity because there's something that happened that nobody has control over.
They will call it force majeure in our own language.
Yeah, and not the state. Nobody responsible for that. But when the trial goes through, in fact, the right that defendant has, if the trial just is going on and the prosecutors, government, and lawyers, maybe they abandon the case, for example, right? And the case does not end, and the judge disband the jury, the term of court ends, he say, look, I'm disbanding the jury. They're not manifest necessity because the state has plenty of lawyers. State is presumed to always have plenty of lawyers, right? So, unless there's something that happens that naturally everybody will say, but nobody, you can't blame the court, you can't blame
the prosecution.
You can't, then they call it manifest necessity. Like you see, I will say
force majeure. Yeah.
That means that impossibility to continue a trial that nobody is responsible for. But they try Gibson for somebody better go business. They say guilty, not guilty. Then one day
it's absolute.
It's finished.
Bringing it back is double jeopardy.
It is double jeopardy, and that the law here, that the law will borrow from England. In some parts of the United Kingdom, they have a different rule. When they set the verdict aside, you may be tried. But in the United States, unless they are guilty verdict, but not guilty verdict, I beg you here. Not guilty verdict, when they hold it, and I know it, joke. You know, and there's no exception in the Constitution. There's no exception in the criminal procedure law.
But is there any necessity for Gibson lawyer to even take an appeal?
Let me give you an example. I was Solicitor General. We tried one of my colleagues now, but then he was not a lawyer. Horatio Gould. Then somebody brought in fact the county attorney, late Samuel Jacobs, said that, oh, while the case was on, some jurors wrote him through the sheriff for money. But he didn't bring that letter up to me as his boss, and I was in the case. I used to go there, I was supervising the case. He didn't bring major, he didn't bring the letter.
As the solicitor.
He didn't show it to anybody. The evidence he felt was very strong, and that we would get a guilty verdict, right? But he waited until that guilty verdict, that not guilty verdict came. Then out of anger, he said, but he put here wrote me a few days before through the sheriff before the verdict. So then they started, the matter went to the police for investigation. Police had to determine whether they wrote this, blah, blah, blah. So.
Does that fall in the case of Astapo?
Well, Astapo is a civil.
It's a civil something, civil. Okay.
So, because people are listening, let's stick to.
Yeah, let's stick to the real thing there.
So then, my boss, Professor Johnson Morris, said, but we have to, this thing here had to be set aside. The term of court ended. Different judge.
That's another problem.
Different judge came in. We have filed motion to set aside the verdict and award new trial. The judge granted it, right? So Or should go into the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, but you can't ask for a new trial. The jury verdict, we can't. The appeal was granted. So there's a case.
Wait.
There's
It's a precedent.
Yeah. Horatio Group versus RL. I said, we went to the Supreme Court. I mean, he went to the Supreme Court because the George
To reverse the approval.
Ware granted our motion to set aside the verdict and one new trial. So, Horatio Group, the defendant, appealed to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court granted the appeal, reversed the ruling of the lower court judge.
Oh my God. This is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody had ever, all the lawyers I've talked to have not given me a clear precedence like this.
People can be political with the law. I said we did it, and the Supreme Court won the Supreme Court win anti-corruption case now.
Yes.
Anti-corruption cases are
And you were vested in that.
Yeah. Oh, one upstairs in the Supreme. And for that time, when I was Solicitor General, we never try again because the court has said, well, the opinion was extensive. So where you got it one from? What part of the criminal procedure law do you to?
Where you got it one?
The provision of the criminal procedure law for any relief after a jury verdict is given only to the defendant. There's nowhere there for the prosecution.
Councillor, you know there are a lot of criminal lawyers at the Ministry of Justice. You think they don't know that?
I don't know.
Now you be absolutely careful.
Some of them were my students. I taught many of them. I taught this.
You can teach me too. I can register.
I taught that very case. I teach it almost every semester just to know in criminal procedure. So, maybe they forgot.
So, okay, there's another issue on this thing.
But
in Gibson case, there were two jurors.
But let me say,
go ahead.
This. The thing is that our ethics, the code of ethics governing the lawyers, it is clearly stated that the purpose of prosecution is not to convict, is to see that justice is done. So, because the state, the defendant is a citizen right?
Yes.
And even the president, defendant is a resident, the Republic of Liberia has an obligation, not right, to protect the person's rights and to see that that person gets justice. So when defendant is acquitted, the state has won because the state has seen that justice is done.
So I like the way you always define justice. It's not just because you want to win.
No.
But even if you lose,
just justice has taken place because your judiciary is so independent that the case that the state wants to win so much, the state loses. But when the state loses that case, the state has done justice. The prosecution has seen that justice is done.
That the person who was accused, they're not going to jail for no reason.
Yes. So no prosecution should really get angry when there's acquittal. If the process goes well, and then so if because you see the state has so much resources. When they accuse Gibson that he alone against the over 5 million people of Liberia.
Yeah.
You alone.
Even it's in the report, the investigative report, they got about 15, I think 10 to 15 government lawyers named in there as people who participated in the process.
So there's one person against the whole Republic of Liberia gets acquitted. Then you want to bring it back, the constitutions are not permissible and not possible.
So, I mean, it's an acquittal for the defendant. Is it a damnation for prosecution?
No, it's not. That's
No,
what
it's
I'm
not.
saying. Because the prosecution role is to bring evidence and to prove beyond reasonable doubt
Yes.
that somebody committed an offense. And the prosecution And then the jury has its role. The judge is the judge of the law to make sure that the law that's supposed to be used in that case is the only law. When the lawyers bring law that are not applicable, he says, any law you're bringing not applicable from both the prosecution and defense.
Correct.
And he explains, he or she explains to the jury
Correct.
their only role is to know whether they can reason. They are of sound mind, and they know they use their common sense to know who talking true, who not talking true. In the end, they say the case that they would look at it. Because while the case is on, even when they're asking the different witnesses, the way their faces looking, the embarrassed, all that the jurors can take into consideration. But when they're asking that man, you see
The countenance,
you see how he
the
was
facial
looking,
appearance,
he was not
whether they're
stable.
guilty or not
the
guilty.
man, when they're asking the other question, he thought different things. That all that I want to look at. And
So they don't believe the other
we
person.
don't believe them, man. So the jury is the one that thing you can't believe. The law talk about credibility. They're the one who say the other evidence here, now good evidence in support of the state case.
We are talking to Councillor Tiawonse Gonglo,
Yeah.
and we are discussing the jury tampering at this time. And he just gave us a very classic example of a precedent case with Orisho Gu versus the Republic of Liberia that he participated in as a precedent to the case we are discussing now. So, if Gibson went to court, got acquitted, but two of those who voted, the jurors who voted against Gibson, and then Gibson still got acquitted anyways, can these two jurors who voted against Gibson, do they stay in the right place to come back to the prosecution and say, look, hey, we were not supposed to do this, but we did this, and so we want you to investigate this?
So
Can they come back after they have done that?
any information can come to the court. Right?
Okay, yeah.
But they are admitting to something wrong.
Yes, to a
They-
criminal.
that they
yeah.
undermine the integrity of the court by their conduct. Because why they didn't say it when it was happening? Nothing stops them. They have the
Correct.
right
Correct.
to say it when it's happening. All right? So it's left with the in one of the ways to do it is actually for them to be charged.
Those
Right.
jurors who brought that
Yeah,
information.
to be charged.
That was why one lawyer
Yeah,
told me,
no,
said
they should be
you
charged.
will prefer the lawyer, the judge, who charged the three jurors who,
They're not judge can charge people.
the
They send
prosecution
them,
rather.
That we did. We send them
Yeah.
to the police in a racial go case.
Okay.
That police can investigate and charge a suspect.
Oh, the
right?
judge should have nothing to do with that.
You can judge.
You can bring it.
Judge have tried jury tampering because some of them may be just misconduct, not necessarily a criminal act, right? They saw, for example, the law is that jurors should not decide a matter by law, like to say, Coco Missy, like, so that one is not a crime. It's a misconduct that the judge can deal with, right? So, but bribery, if somebody receives bribery, the judge has no legal authority to deal with that.
Yeah.
That should go to the police. Police investigate, charge those who
For their conduct.
the receiver and the giver, and then because bribery is a second degree felony, serious offense that people can go to jail for 5 years for. All right, because if the judge charges people, then who's going to be
You're going to
the judge?
adjudicate. Yes.
Yeah. So all the roles are divided. The police is there to investigate and to really prefer the charges there. And then bribery is an indictable offense, so you have to go to a grand jury. Even when the police charges jurors for bribery, the grand jury can say, when you see bribery, I can set them free. Because it'd be like ignorance.
So in this case, is Gibson's is the case the jurors are they still on the court jurisdiction if they went home, if they were disbanded for 5 days, 6 days, and they went to the prosecution and make that allegation?
When the jury-
can the judge reassume jurisdiction?
When
And
the
say-
judge, the proper thing in my view to do when the jury is disbanded and a criminal conduct is discovered, they are disbanded.
Yes,
It didn't happen when the jury was under the
Was sitting.
jurisdiction of court,
correct.
and then that requires criminal investigation, right? The police, the prosecution will take that matter to the police. They will do thorough investigation and deal with those people, right? Yeah. There have been some cases in the past. I think there was one case. I think it was a civil case where they said, oh, the jurors were celebrating right after.
Yes, that's
the-
one of the precedent cases that somebody mentioned.
But I think it's a civil. It was
They-
a civil case.
Yes.
Civil cases and criminal cases are different.
The employer won,
Yeah.
and then they were celebrating with the jurors, and then I think they set the verdict aside
Yeah.
because of the yeah. But they were right in court. It was right after the
But more than that, civil cases are different. Criminal cases, because people have to go to jail.
yeah.
People have to be
Deprived
fined.
deprivation of life.
The judgments are, they restrict your liberty and all that. When you know, and the standard of evidence in criminal cases is very high, proof beyond reasonable doubt. In civil cases, preponderance of evidence, that big word mean the evidence enough. If I owe you money and I give you promissory note and you sue me for debt, you alone can testify against me. Because you say, but yeah, counsel, go a promissory note you give me, the judge look at it and say, but my man, you are liable, you're wrong, pay the man money. In criminal cases, that's what the Bible says, out of the mouth of two shall come the truth. There has to be corroboration. I think it's Deuteronomy that says that one, that out of the mouth of two shall come the truth. You alone, one person alone cannot testify in criminal case and win.
Oh wow! Tell say Gonglo here explaining the legal parameters that we have to deal with these days. He said he cannot discuss the current case of Samuel 12 because it's sub judice, and then we are using other analogies to discuss it. Let's go straight to the because we'll soon open the line. Why you say the drug situation is a sin? I mean,
So what I was saying
yeah.
is what I actually said in the church. I was invited on 2016.
Okay.
The Restoration Baptist Church to be a panelist along with Bishop Johnson and former Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. And I made my opening statement for the panel discussion, and I said, look, we're in church.
Yes.
And I said that there are two things in the Bible that every Christian must take into consideration. God said the standard of determining that you're a good Christian is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And then he brought final exam. You see, in Matthew 25, he said, on the last day, on Judgment Day, he will say, you Gibson, I was sick and you didn't come to visit me.
Yeah.
I was hungry.
Don't
and
call
you-
me Lord.
Yeah. I was hungry and you are giving him food to your dog, not me. And I had no clothes, you are burning your own clothes. He said, but if I seen you, I would have done it. He said, but once you did not do it to the least of your neighbor, you didn't do it unto me. So the love.
And you made me feel guilty. I just throw some old clothes
Yeah,
away.
but then you can't, you die today, you can't go to heaven. You can't.
I gotta pray. I will go ahead and confess my sin
So I
somewhere.
was telling the church, I said, look, the main thing that makes love your neighbor hard is corruption. People are so selfish. I say, no corrupt person can go to heaven because when you engage in corruption, you deprive your neighbor of
others.
good medical facilities.
Yeah.
You deprive your neighbor's children from going to good schools. You deprive your neighbor of food security for the country to have enough food for everybody, good housing, all these things here. So you are depriving Jesus Christ of all these things. You can't go to heaven. And I said, so for example, I say bribery, I say corruption is the highest sin, is a crime against humanity, but it's also sin. I say, you see what corruption can do? It's bringing drug in the country. Because for the drug to enter, somebody had to receive bribe. Somebody had to let it come for his own personal benefit.
Okay.
The person who brings drug in the country is committing sin because they're not love your neighbor. It's bringing exactly, to infect generations.
And you got to bribe somebody for the drug to get in the country.
Exactly. I say you cannot love your neighbor and intoxicate them with drugs and make them to change and get them crazy.
That was a good analogy.
Yeah. I said so that's sin. Corruption is sin.
What you see about this drug thing? You think there's it's the government acting properly? I see they burn the drug today. Does the judge have to sign off on the burning, or do they have the right to burn the drug just because they want to?
I hope they have some drug left to be used as evidence in court.
That's exactly what I'm asking about. Because if
the police, when I was a young lawyer, I was working with Galawolo, the late Councilor Galawolo.
Francis Galawolo.
And they would think the old lawyers can do the cases, they think they will not win, they will send young lawyers. Because you get him, you lose the case.
The sacrifice.
So he said, Attorney Gonglo, I get one ruling in the court, go take my ruling from me. He lied to me. Because he had said so a drug case where they are going to say, but what law I know? I just left law school 2-3 months ago. So I got to the court. Then he became Chief Justice, but he was George Pearson from Bonkande. He said, okay, so we're about to start a case. I said, which case? He said, this heroin case, it has 7 defendants, but the case being delayed. Councilor Galawolo and Councilor Alfred Flomo. And
two top lawyers.
But because I made representation, I announced before the brother I think I came case call. Then I announced representation. Then
said, now you can't withdraw it.
So we're about to hear the case. I said, which case? Then the brother had big case. So I said, what? Then the judge said, okay, but the case postponed will start tomorrow. I said, come, I beg you. He said, but and he didn't come to that court until the case, and he said, no, you're in that case.
Well, and that's it. That's how you got in the case.
Yeah. So I went to the law library, the law school. I stayed there from 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the night reading on all the heroin cases in America that I could read on. In all of those cases, they waived jury trial. Because even in America, the person what drug you connected to drug, you connected to drug, you have no there's no equal treatment. The community, the jurors will
convict you any day.
And in that
so they will do bench trial.
I heard those potential jurors say, look at the Nigerian, they say some Liberian poor that they can't spoil our children, they want part of guilty. So when I read these heroin cases, I said, I came to Councilor Flomo, I said, all the cases I read, there was no jury trial. They waived jury trial. He said, well, go to court tomorrow, waive jury trial. They sent me to court. I went and talked to the defendant. I said, this is what I read, that you're right. The best thing in the case is to waive jury trial so that you can be tried on the evidence, scientific evidence. And they agreed. So on the case open, I said, defendant waived jury trial. I made that submission. George Pearson said, and now you're right. Look, call the other Nigerian man. Look, Clark, call the defendant's name. They start calling the Nigerian name when they call the one. I waive my right. Of course, I've done my homework. I waive my right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the judge said, so you put me in tight spot. In that case, I will be the jury
And the judge.
and the judge. And
But it gives them a lot of power and discretion,
so,
though.
but see what happened. They decided to bring video clippings of the investigation where the person I objected to it, and the judge sustained the objection. I said, "This Hollywood age is the age of filming. Anybody can be like, can act like anybody who want the clear evidence to come to court." Do you know that the state had not even a teaspoon of heroin? They sold all. The three.
And that's why you are giving the example, because they are burning the drugs. That's why you say, I hope they have.
The three police officers, one of them was my classmate from law school, they came to testify. And the reason why that case even came to court, their friends were suspecting them of benefiting, because all three of them were building BB houses every day, trucks of cement. And the police, their friends knew they were not even making $300. But they people get money. So then the case came to court. When they decided they didn't have any evidence, say, Your Honor, look at the poor trousers and you will smell the drug on it. They were defecating it.
Come on.
I objected. The person said, my man, I want to smell that. You bring the evidence. So they took cassava dust deeper. They got to call heroin brown sugar. And the color is brown, so they took it to Fender, to the
and packaged it.
The late chairman of the chemistry department, Victor Ward, very powerful, highly, qualified chemist. He said, he tested the thing, he said, but this is carbohydrate. I'm not going to call for any young lawyer to make me look like a fool. You get it for him, man. So for 1 week postponement.
They won't get cassava dust to the court to determine.
When we came back, they actually tried to present it. I objected to it. I said, you're not qualified to present this thing unless a scientist, somebody who knows about it, present it.
Yeah, so expert witness. Yeah.
They went now to get Victor Ward to come and testify. And they will have had conviction if that man had testified.
And you say, yes,
we had no
heroin.
other expert to counter Victor Ward. At that time, they were killed during the war. So after 1 week, they came and arrested evidence. But what evidence you arrested on? Nothing. They said they still arrested evidence in total. There was no evidence. The judge gave a ruling. He said, but there was no evidence in this. There had to be evidence to even find out, except the oral evidence that we caught the people, we caught them, we did it. The judge said, but where is the evidence of the existence of heroin? That's why I'm asking. I hope they will have some.
But I mean, I was when I saw the video this morning, the first question that came to me is, do they not need this evidence before the court?
No, I'm telling you now.
So I mean, this drug thing. I mean, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do any of this, and drug is a serious thing to you.
Very serious. Look, I consider the drug issue worse than the Civil War. Over 250,000.
Oh yeah.
Over 300,000 people die in this country, and some of the people who killed were intoxicated by warlords using drugs to intoxicate them.
Yes,
so they killed pregnant women. They did things that they would not do as normal people.
Yes.
So drug already had an impact. But there was, in Civil War, there can be ceasefire, and there can be of armed conflict. But put drug in the system, you have generations of Liberians that will be affected. And this country will be lawless. Haiti today is an example. They said the first country governed by the black race, that was Haiti. Second to Haiti than Liberia. So I look at it and say, we might not be like Haiti. Haiti now is not governable.
No, it's not governable.
The different country, Kenya send police officers and all that, is ruled by gangs all over the place. And these gangs are not normal. They are controlled by drugs.
Right.
So it's dangerous to deal with civil conflict. Armed conflict is easier than to deal with drugs.
Have you seen that video about the Colombians who allegedly, or supposed Colombians, who made a video about President Boubacar's son threatening 24 hours of dealing with them?
I heard about it. I've not seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll try to see it.
Okay. So, how do it's the government? Is the government? Look. Let's look at. I don't want to compare administrations. Before then, we used to know Kush. Now it's cocaine. I mean, where are we going with this?
Which I think, from what I hear from people who know about drugs, to say cocaine is worse than is the highest form of
yes,
drug, worse than Kush.
the Kush, they joke again for cocaine. I mean, that's more refined and purified kind of drugs that people describe.
But cocaine, they say this place was being used as a transit point. They were going to, the poor can afford it, going to Europe and America and all that. But this place has been a transit point ever since. That drug thing I'm talking about in 1988, 89, I think 88 or 89, somewhere that is quite a long time ago. They said they were using Liberia as a transit point. They came from Bombay, India, with the drugs to use Liberia as a transit point to go to Europe. And FBI followed them from India, from Bombay, India, all the way to Liberia, and alerted the Liberian police through the Interpol. That's how these guys were arrested.
Wow.
As soon as they landed at Roberts Field, the people knew the airplane they were in, the manifest, that they arrested them right there.
Actually has a question.
Yeah, so council.
And I would not be surprised that FBI
Yeah.
is involved with
Yeah.
the NSA and all that in tracking the movement of the drugs.
So let's look at the effort being made by the government in the fight against these drugs, particularly where the presidential family names are coming about into some of the cases being tried.
Well, there is a strong law in it's in the Constitution, statute laws, criminal procedure law, that everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So we should not treat people on the basis of information that they are guilty. But there's something about governance that not necessarily the actual fact, but they say, the perception. You must conduct yourself in a way that you are above negative public perception. All right? Because you see, I told you.
And that's why you were talking about lifestyle audit.
I talk about lifestyle
if you
audit.
became president.
Right, because through lifestyle audit, you might find out that somebody is not taking money from the coffers, but probably involving drugs. I said, as part of my 10-point agenda, that there will be quarterly lifestyle audit. Now I have a year quarterly.
Where did you get the money from?
So
how are you buying these
exactly.
houses?
We know, because I said when I become president, before you take any public office, you will declare your asset. I will declare mine first before I sit there. And before you sit, you declare. Now, if I know you are getting $2,000 or $3,000, and after 3 months, you have a Mercedes-Benz, $100,000, the auditor will ask you,
Where you got that from?
You have a right to get $100,000 Mercedes-Benz, but where did you get that from? Because you didn't declare this as part of your assets before taking office. And then, if they find out that you didn't take any money from government, nobody bribed you, the auditors might get the police to ask you some questions, and they might lead to you getting money through underground efforts like drug
money laundering.
Because the FIA, the Financial Intelligence Unit, will be part of all these investigations, to make sure that those who serve in government have integrity. All right. So when you do that, then we might, in fact, it will create fear for those. Some people will not even want government job because they will not be so free. Now, the thing that's happening, the way this case is going, and like I said, I don't want to do with the merit, but we have to conduct ourselves in such a way that there's not a chilling effect on jury service. That when you call in jurors now for major anti-corruption case. Some of them, everybody go get medical certificate that is sick, and when you get medical certificate, that's an excuse for you
Yeah,
not to
genuine
serve.
excuse not to serve.
You know,
Because they don't want to go there and go to
yeah.
jail. You
We
know,
do-
they have
we do
released.
not- we do
They have
not.
released all of them, but
but we don't want to create the impression that in criminal cases that involves impropriety, stealing from government, that the only judgment, the only verdict that should be accepted should be guilty. You don't want to. Unless you go there with hard evidence that is so convincing to even a little child, right? That is so clear. But if the impression is created that the only verdict you can come down
there
with
should be
is
a guilty
guilty,
version.
then it undermines the jury's freedom to decide.
It impede the whole process.
Because then that's not justice. The purpose of prosecution is to see that justice is done.
So I will go back on Archie's question. The crux of his question was the government is arresting people. You hear names of people arrested. For me, I've accused the government of trying to use people as sacrificial lambs.
Yeah, for example, the 106
Yeah.
is being relinquished of his position.
Yes.
In connection of this.
So we with this kind of drugs, 370 million, 19.2 million. I mean, I don't think just the deputy of the police will be the only person
So
involved.
we can think whatever we think, but one thing we have to applaud them for arresting, for seizing these drugs, right? But again, it's not only this governments from Dole that have been seizing drugs. The question is there a follow through up to the end for people to
Yes,
really be
to the
found
logical
guilty?
conclusion.
Yes, to be tried and found guilty. The drug cases in this country have actually been like before Camara law. You know, how many times government will arrest people and charge them with sedition? Journalists.
Yes.
We sign charge them with criminal manipulation. We go, we file bond, we manage to get them out of jail, and then the government does not pursue the case anymore. There are many cases like that. And I know, I mean, the late Peabody, veteran journalist,
Yeah.
they try to shame him guilty, they put him in jail, we file hippie couples, then the government doesn't do anything after that, you know? So it's the seizure of drugs. Most governments I know, at least in my mature age, from Dole time, I've seen seizures of drugs. But then nothing happens in the end for somebody to go to jail and serve, because when you are penalized, then it serves as a deterrent.
As a deterrent for others.
Right? So, you know, under President Selip, there were drugs seized. We tried to prosecute that matter. You know, I think it went all the way to the Supreme Court. They were acquitted. Part of the thing we tried to get the French to testify because they seized the drugs.
Okay, well, I think we have enough time for you to engage with the public, and those of you who already have your phones in your hand to call, you can call 777-907-907, and Councillor Gonglo is going to be here to answer your question. Whatever question you have, I think he's the right person to answer the legal questions. We have come here and said our own thing. We're not even lawyers. We're making opinions like lawyers. He is the one who you want to ask a question. So you can ask a question, 777-907-907. Put your call through and ask your question. Councillor, you got
Okay,
caller?
so like
Yeah, let's go to our caller.
Let's go to the caller.
What kind of question they have?
good evening.
Good evening.
What is the
Thank
name?
you.
Where do you call from?
Thank you very much. This is the common question. My name is Q. I represent Conseil Labour for Justice.
Okay.
And I got two questions for the land councillor. The first question is this. The video has been authenticated by the EPF boss. In that video, the cartel member in that video are saying there is a man called Ibrahim Touare who is a liaison between the government of Liberia and the cartel. That's what they said there. And then when the president so tried to come out to clarify, the Lula didn't see Ibrahim Traore. He know him, they want to migrate for business arrangement. So if the president saw her then, accused by the cartel, and she is admitting to some of the things the cartel said, they say no problem enough that for the sake of independent or transparent investigation,
Okay.
the president an independent investigative body instead of here a minister.
Thank you. Let's get another. Good evening. Good evening. Let's get this person. Oh God. Good evening.
Okay, why are you trying to get
Yeah.
Councillor? You
Let me deal with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The-
This is important. We should not even have more than 3 questions before I can answer. Look, probable cause is what makes the police to arrest. Something happened. It looked like Gibson is part of it. Gibson is suspected
Yes.
of committing a crime, so Gibson must be arrested to be as a suspect, or investigation must start with
Or
Gibson.
even brought in as a person of interest.
Brought in for investigation. You don't want to arrest him now, because when you arrest him, for the year will start flowing.
Exactly.
But you can bring in and start investigating Gibson immediately, because he's now a suspect, because there's probable cause. To prove a case, you must have prima facie evidence, right? Now to start to charge someone, right? And then for trial, you need proof beyond reasonable doubt. That is where certainty comes in. But when there's suspicion, then you are a person of interest, you are suspect to be investigated. And there should be no exception when it
So
comes to that.
the example he gave was Gibson was accused by Archie
Yeah.
that Gibson went and stood behind the microphone and there was a camera in front of him, and Gibson said, "Oh yeah, camera been in front of me," and he is saying if you admit to some of the things,
Then you have to say more. Then the police must
bring you in.
to ask you more, right?
Is it possible from your knowledge of governance politics with presidential relatives?
Yes.
Can this police bring the son of the
They
president
should.
in?
In this country, where over 300,000 people were killed because of bad governance, anybody who wants to be president of this country must remind himself. But more than that, President Talbot allow a man named after him, William Talbot, to be arrested when there was suspicion that he killed his wife in Painesville. He was arrested, investigated, charged by the police. You know how the police found out? He went outside, saw the people playing checker. Oh, my people, I came from work, and my wife is lying in cold blood. I don't know who killed my wife. You know, they say there's always the evidence somewhere. So he had white shirt. The police people came in, CID, they checking. Then there was this
Little blood.
small like a red ink pen mark. Somebody saw it in a car and said, wait, let's check it. This shot here, we need to take her and check it. And didn't want to check it out on human blood. That's how they investigated William Talbot and found out that, in fact, he killed his wife. He was charged, prosecuted by the criminal code A, found guilty. He appealed to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court affirmed the judgment, and in 1978 on television, President Talbot was at the University of Liberia. He brought the thing on TV and said, "Bill, I took oath to obey, defend, promote, and execute the Constitution and statute laws of Liberia." And one of the laws is that when you kill someone and the court finish and they bring a warrant, I should sign a warrant for the person to be hanged. And here is a warrant.
I remember then.
And so I am going to pray for you as pastor of the Zion Praise Baptist Church but I will sound the death warrant. Now let's pray. And they prayed, and right after the prayer,
to the question that was being asked as it relates to evidence. Now there's this long read out between the former vice president and Tim G from the EPS when it comes to producing evidence in court. Well, Councilor Brumlow didn't really go in depth, so I would really appreciate for you to speak to these two issues. The Joint Security says that it has obtained a court order before bringing the seized drugs. Why it is true that investigations are ongoing. From his own legal standpoint, does a court order, alone, a court order alone can make the destruction lawful, or could it still raise concerns about, preserving evidence before prosecution? And the second question is, what legal safeguards should be followed before narcotics are destroyed to ensure the rights of the suspect are protected, and looking at the integrity of that particular criminal trial is not compromised? These are things that I really want to understand.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's a great question. Put my microphone on, make sure it's up.
So
It's
the
up?
thing
Okay,
is,
thank you.
there are two things that we should take into consideration, very serious. Narcotic. You don't want to negatively impact the environment. That's a serious issue. So I strongly believe, even when you have order authorizing you to burn, first you have to keep some quantity as evidence to show. You're not going to destroy all. Two, in the destruction process, that is something that they are chemicals, right? You should get EPA experts involved to make sure that the way this narcotic is disposed of in such a way
To respect environment.
to protect the lives, the health of the Liberian people, and to protect the environment. It's for our safety. So the other thing is evidence. You don't have to present how many kilograms, all of that, but you just have to prove that
Something was available.
because it's not a question of restitution. They're not going to tell you to bring $300 million or so, but you're going to go to jail for bringing in cocaine, for possessing cocaine, and you have to prove that you took cocaine from someone. So I hope they have evidence to show and not destroy everything.
So his question is, can the judge tell them to burn it now? Is it within the purview?
I join you from UAW.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Veteran Council,
Yes, sir.
For what have been happening for the past year, as you supported this government, it is very, very alarming. So I want to know, in the next, if election is held today or in the next coming years, will you be willing as well to support this government against the CDC or in any other ways, or you will be there to oppose this government as well? Because we fight for this government to bring them to power, to fight against drugs. But the same drugs that we fight against, it is the same drugs now that even far more than ever before.
Yeah.
So now, where is the strength? Thank you very much.
All right. So, you can marry a woman today and divorce her after 1 week, right? I'm a lawyer. I've seen people divorce after two months, right? We're very clear when we're expressing support for Unity Party in the second round. First, we're not sure whether every election in Liberia will always end up in a situation where there will be
A second round.
a second round. It is possible that one day Liberians will elect someone that they don't have question about, right? Who knows the next election? You look at me as a candidate, next election, maybe I'll be elected hands down, because it's clear that the two sides, people have problem with them. I mean, they are admitting to wrong. Seditionists are saying, you're accused of Kush, now the people have cooking. That doesn't make CDC better than, nobody should bring drug, right? When they accuse United Party people of being corrupt, they say, but NCDC did the same thing. So both partisans are admitting
To the wrongdoing.
to the wrongdoing against the Liberian people. So I don't even see the two of them being the only choices, because they have abused the public trust, to protect this place. And so I don't want to be caught between two of them. I don't think they are choices anymore. They are proving themselves.
Okay. Let's get this person. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Chief.
Good evening. What is your name?
Thank you. Let me say, thank you, man. This nonsense. I got
All right.
Coming in broken.
Please shake up good and stand better and ask a question. You're coming in distracted.
I'm going to speak. Well, I
Okay.
want to you support the past government, the current government, 2023. What that you expected, what you expect, you expecting the government still. And you did not do, I want to answer that, please.
Okay.
Okay, so he questioning your expectation.
Oh, but I was
of-
very clear.
yeah.
Look, we said in the first 100 days, if we see you moving a different way, we'll come. And in the first 100 days, my party, LPP, issue a strong statement saying, this one, you're facing the road to Grand Judah and the Southeast. We applaud that. But there are missteps. And we started talking about the missteps, removing people from tenure position, all the different missteps. And since then, we've been pointing out missteps continuously, because we have moral obligation to make sure that the party that was supported performs consistent with our expectation. They don't, we can't hold back. And we've been
And I
doing
think
that.
there's no shame in that, because you can support someone
Yeah.
and disagree with the person.
no.
And
Yeah. We
Yeah,
can't come and say, oh, because we supported you, we support your wrongs. No.
we're unsupported.
Okay. All right. So this person, what is
Yeah.
your name?
How will he, fit on the portfolio of this government when it comes to rule of law? What is the credential of the government rule of law credential? That's my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
They want you to grade now.
No, you see, I'm not grading. In my public discourse, I don't grade. There are different institutions that, like, and NAMO, and different institutions that actually take their time and they send people in the field.
They
and
get
they do-
data.
So I don't want to just, no, where they do something wrong, I talk it, and you can grade for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
This person, what is your name?
Me?
Good evening. What is your name?
Yeah, Terry Momo, coming from Red Access.
Go ahead, David Momo.
Yeah, I want to ask the council on the air. How you doing?
You coming in
Yeah.
broken. You coming in broken. Is
Take
it?
your time.
Yeah, I also I'm sitting at the how are you?
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I want to ask the council. This thing like,
David.
Okay.
David, please.
Hello?
Yeah, you have to shake up and
Yeah.
take
Change
your
your
time.
location.
Yeah, change your
And
location.
take your turn to
You
ask
telling me
questions.
now?
Yeah, go ahead.
You getting me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask the councilor, man, how you see the justice system on in President Walker regime?
Okay.
The justice system moving well or the justice system?
Now, the same question that someone
Yeah.
just asked, but let me tell you, there have been some missteps. For example, right now I'm defending Dempster Brown, who was, just
Removed.
suspended from his position when the president had no authority to do that. I defended the central bank governor who
Yes.
was illegally removed,
Yes.
and they agreed and settled with him. I'm defending Dr. Duboyan, one of the celebrated scientists of Africa. In fact, last year, I don't know how we do this. Last year, he was declared the African Genius of 2025.
Do you mean Chris Dubé?
Yeah, and even the GSC said rated his institution at #1 or among the top performing in terms of compliance with spending and all of that. So he was removed. We went to the justice in Chambers, won the case. The government appealed, and during the last term of court, they didn't do anything to hear the case. We hope the next term of court. So when you violating laws, we can't be selective to say, oh, the other law here, the other thing. Yeah, they're trying to move on asset declaration to fight corruption. But every government has been doing that. The last government, the same person who is in charge of asset declaration now was LACC head. They were all trying to get people indicted to move. All these efforts have been made, and I've not seen any significant change in terms of rule of law from the past government to now. I'm using significant change. So it is at least. Some people say, oh, at least. I'm not for my country.
You
I
don't
can't
wanna-
settle
you don't wanna lower the bar.
Yeah, I can't settle for what the people call mediocrity. Way down.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
At least we can get one set.
I don't want to carry the justice system down anyway. I want it to be way up there. This country is backward because of lack of respect for the rule of law.
Yeah,
Look,
yes.
the Millennium Challenge account said there has been no change. Under President George Weah, it was 45%. Under President Joseph Boakai, it's 45%. My Prima 1 Remate showed at 45, man, 45,
That's zero.
So the people who can check on it, they themselves say that's zero.
Nothing happening
So
here.
what you want me to say?
We'll take
Okay,
one more call and
yeah,
then
your
yes.
final caller. Good
Yes.
evening. You are final caller. What is your name?
Good evening, how you doing in studio?
Yeah. What is your name?
Yeah, I'm Joshua, speaking around the rehab bell.
Go ahead.
Here to you.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
please, I'm so happy that our lawyer counselor is in studio today and talking about this drug issue. So I want to understand from him whether there have been laws set up or penalties set up if someone commit this crime and found guilty to be able to serve that penalty. There's a long time the penalty. Talking about doing total time, so many people time. You talk about drug issue. But there are penalties set up by the government of Liberia that somebody will be able to serve that penalty. I want to understand that, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
all the crimes, anything that the police say they want a crime, there's penalty for it in the law. So the drug thing, there's penalty for it in the law. Just like murder and all the things that we consider crime in the country, they got penalty for them. Yeah.
Look, we got like 5 more minutes for you to make your final comment, but I want to go back on one of the questions that were asked. To what extent this alleged or violation of the rule of law, removal or tenure of opposition officers, flouting of the Supreme Court, what is a public perspective? I mean, how does it affect public trust?
Oh, it affects everything. If you are a government that does not respect rule of law, nobody serious want to invest in your country because people want their contract to be protected by law. They want the government to protect the rights of people. A violation of rule of law goes to even safety of the individuals that come to your country. The police director have been critical of him. For example, he said, "Oh, under my administration, there will be no car plying the streets of Monrovia without a license plate. Go check his comfort. At least I've seen one car inside tinted glass, car without a license plate. Maybe they are
You
changing
preach
about
the
this
law
thing.
and don't do it.
Yeah. So the most effective way of bringing about change is for you yourself to be the change. And that's why Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. You yourself. The police is arresting private motorcyclists for not wearing helmet. Check every day. I saw 5 different police motor vehicles, motorcyclists.
Yeah.
Today, they got a face card. Some of them don't have face card. They're riding police motorcycle, not private motorcycle.
Yeah. They tell the motorcycle you must have helmet.
Yeah. But
then you, the police rider, you don't have helmet.
Right. The other thing is, police is not doing its work. The major thing for police is our safety. When they check my vehicle, every time they say they're doing a vehicle inspection, they ask my driver, do you have your driver license? Do you have your vehicle registration? Do you have your insurance? That's all for revenue. They don't say put your brake lights on. They don't say let's check your tail light. They don't check on, oh, you have a smooth tire. This car can move. You know that what they will stop you for in America. So they put vehicles on the road that don't meet the public safety standards, and they don't care about it. That's why you have so many accidents. They only care about collecting revenue. They don't. They are not showing any concern about the safety of the people.
When they start asking for the one, the public will now start screaming and say, what I want to do with my car tire?
No, it's important. They will not understand, but later on they will understand. You see taxis carrying truck load. You know?
Yeah, no, even you can't see from the rear view.
So the safety of the people. And then we have a broken health system. You go to JFK, people are sitting in a wheelchair. They are sitting in a chair taking drips. We have a medical system that can address the conditions in the country, natural illnesses. Then you're creating a hazardous situation by not checking on motor vehicles. You know, that is misgovernance. That's not seeking the welfare of the people. You're not seeking our safety. And when people know about that, they will not invest in your country, and your young people will not get jobs. You see, tourists will not come when they know there's no law or the laws are not respected. Just to hear that you're removing people from tenure position where the law is clear. It happened to George Weah, to his credit. After the first Supreme Court opinion, he didn't do it again. But President Bouakai is still doing it. After the first, I think 4 or 5 cases, they just bundled them together, LTA and other cases, and they ruled against President Bouakai's government and said, look. And
he didn't even put them back.
Then they moved from there, and they went and suspended the people. I don't know who the lawyer that is shameful that are advising them. Supreme Court in 2008, in the Isaac Yenabo case, when 13 senators wanted to remove him, and the Supreme Court said, oh, you need 2/3, you can't remove the man, you don't have authority. They say, oh, somebody advised them in it. I don't know who were the lawyer in the Senate or who lawyer to talk to. They say, oh, the Supreme Court say, the law said we can't remove unless we have 2/3. So let's suspend. They suspended him. The Supreme Court went into Webster Dictionary and defined
suspension
and suspension
and equated them.
And then they said, oh, but suspension is removal.
You still
dismissal is removal. If you don't have authority to dismiss, you don't have authority to remove. So even with that opinion, they say the president doesn't have authority to remove
or suspend. They are one and the same.
Yeah, that is simple to remove. So suspension, you can't dismiss, you can't suspend. If you can't dismiss, which means you can remove for forever, you can remove for 1 minute. That's what the Supreme Court said. So now,
what part of that they don't understand?
It's so clear. And the Supreme Court has been repeating from we are down over 10 years. Over 7, 8 years, they are still on the same. So when you defy the law and you act with impunity, it means, especially when the president of the country is violating law with such level of impunity, is bringing dark cloud over the country and it's affecting our development. You know, I mean, Botswana gained independence 119 years after Liberia's independence. It is today an upper middle income country. Liberia is among the 15 poorest countries of the world. What are we doing because of lack of respect for the rule of law? Say, let's elect people who has look. For example, I've said to people, as president, I will not carry any more than 5 cars because I will save that money to build more schools and better schools, hospitals. As long as the people are still going to Ghana for diagnosis to find out what is wrong with them, we haven't done anything in this country. And I'm passionate about this because last year I lost my brother who was a magistrate, election magistrate. He had diabetes, he had sugar, and they said they were treating him here. We took him to the private one, JFK.
Even George Solo.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get treatment and then he was going to the States and he died in the plane.
So when you people who live in America here, even when you are retired, you say, I won't go back home.
You won't come back.
But the health system is broken. The school system is not good. I can't go there. I hear with my grandchildren. I want my grandchildren to go to Liberia to really get Liberian way, right? But the health system is broken. Your insurance will advise you why you won't go to that country. Everything we read about your country, your health system is broken. Women, in America, women every year go to check on their breast to see whether they have breast cancer because they're a major killer of women all over the world. So that when you determine earlier that you have breast cancer, at least you can take care of it before it spreads.
Yes.
But the president, one vehicle can buy all the mammogram machines that all the government hospitals in Liberia need. Why do we need 2 expensive cars in the president's convoy? Again, that's out of ignorance. Whoever told the president to do that is totally ignorant. To say let's have 2 presidential cars so that the people who could kill the president don't know.
They will not know which guy he in.
But that's ignorant because in Africa, Liberia.
But they don't kill president in the convoy.
I'm just saying that no president has been killed by civilian in Africa. Yeah. The people who can guide the president can kill the president. So they know which car he in. Every time they put President Bouakai in one vehicle,
they know already.
And they know there are 2. They know that the first one or the second one. And only that why they don't miss president because they know exactly where they have him. So they're not ordinary. So why are you trying to waste our money that should be on education or on health, food security, road, housing, and everything, and spending it, and then the president can return the non-car convoy.
All right, Councilor.
Why the president can't go to the mansion that we built for him? Every time the president leaves from where he lives
from the
to the mansion, the
traffic.
Forget about traffic. The few on our car can build one small elementary school. The cost of the few of Trinidad cars can build one small elementary school. I even talk about the maintenance. When you add the maintenance and with the corruption, how they will triple that amount, they can build a school.
Councilor, we need to do this often. Thank you very much, Councilor Tiawan Se Gonglo. And tomorrow we'll be having Abraham Wion here, and we will talk. And thank you very much for joining us. I'll leave you now with Achi Se Boyine.
And of course, this is how we like to conclude today's